Battlefield 2042 has had a horrendous launch, and with it, uninventive gameplay that lacks any features to bring players back to play the game further. I'm going to dive into what has caused Battlefield 2042 to have shortcomings in the development and handling of the game, along with the future of the Battlefield franchise related to other first-person shooters in the market. Hello gamers and operators, my name is Icebergs. Battlefield 2042 has many problems and has the lowest ratings of any Battlefield game ever. If you are like me, you love Battlefield. I have loved Battlefield since I first played it as a child at my cousin's house. Battlefield 2042's future is based on how much work EA, the game's developer, can do in a brief period. We already know that EA has got rid of their old design and creative team in favor of a new development team. However, recent leaks suggest the new design team has said the best option for 2042 is to scrap it. I'm sure the new developers would say, if the game was a building, burn it for the insurance money. If you played Battlefield 2042, you could tell that EA and DICE cannibalized popular games and tried to force them into the mold of what Battlefield fans wanted. Unsuccessfully, however. As we learned via leaks and investor calls, the game was originally designed to be part hero shooter, similar to Overwatch, and part hero battle royale, more along the lines of what we saw with Apex Legends. This is the cause behind the underdeveloped specialist system we saw in 2042, and explains much of the game's separation from the highly successful previous games in the franchise. The next evolution was a complete knee-jerk reaction by EA and DICE, due to the explosive success of Call of Duty Warzone. A game so successful that it is still one of the top games on the market today, a whole 2 years after its initial release. This is an excellent aspiration, but it's pulling too much from Warzone, so the next development cycle the game went through was developing a battle royale similar to Warzone. This is where we see the incredibly convoluted armor system, still present in the game today, first being introduced. An armor system that I still have no clue how to use. The final stage was due to early development rumors of the next Battlefield, Battlefield 2042, being only a battle royale, causing outrage. This forced EA to listen to fans and try, on a time crunch of around a year, to develop the multiplayer modes fans loved. But it resulted in only 2 of the many game modes fans loved. And this lack of game modes caused outrage among fans, including myself. And then we were handed Battlefield 2042. After months of hype and advertising, the game came out to be little more than an embarrassment for EA and DICE, and all the other game producers working on Battlefield 2042. I love Battlefield as a franchise, but Battlefield 2042 is a Battlefield game by title only. The gameplay was uninventive and highly flawed, especially considering this was supposed to be a version of the game, as quoted by EA's CEO, completely ready and has been for months, we're just bug fixing. Which is ironic, considering people couldn't even get into the game the first few days. Along with a lack of immediate or any content to support the launch, I mean, we're a few months past the release and the game still hasn't added any content worthwhile, which is exceptionally disappointing as a fan. A huge bragging point from EA concerning the release of Battlefield 2042 was the number of weapons in the game, and they bragged there to be 88 weapons upon release, which was true for Portal, but for the main game, Battlefield 2042, there were only 22 weapons. Alternatively, there were 84 in Battlefield 4. This was outright misleading, infuriating to fans like me who wanted a sound progression system that the game completely missed, almost like an explosion on launch. This all leads me to the unfortunate point that in Battlefield 2042, there are tons of changes that need to be made, almost basically inventing a new game. And those changes are on a deadline. They need to be done before June 2022. This is because, in June, E3 happens, and all the new first-person shooter games will be announced. And if not fixed before then, Battlefield as a franchise may be destined for failure. This possibly destined failure results from Battlefield 2042 and the nature of the first-person shooter genre's development process. Battlefield 2042 needs an update before June for two concrete and essential reasons: relevancy in the market and fans. First, the update for Battlefield 2042 needs to be overhauled and include a massive amount of content. This is because if by June the player base has not seen any progress in the development and advancement of content for 2042, they're going to jump ship, more so than what we saw with the game currently. If the Battlefield 2042 fans do not know the progress, they will permanently leave the game, and no updates or content will ever fix that. This game may become the Cyberpunk 2077 of this year, or if you are an older viewer, the Space Invaders of this decade. We previously saw this with Battlefield 5, and the poor reaction to the game's release, and again with Battlefield 2042. We see a common, unfortunate trend emerging from EA and DICE. The gaming player base always seeks the newest and best thing to provide them the most joy and distraction from reality. The E3 Expo is the significant introduction of new games, not so much as it was in the late 2000s, but still a critical stage for any gaming platform. We already know that at E3, the Gaming Expo this year, Activision will introduce Modern Warfare Roman numeral 2. This game will kill Battlefield 2042 if it cannot compete, which leads us to the second reason Battlefield 2042 needs an update stat. This would devastate me and many other Battlefield fans out there. The last Modern Warfare was one of Call of Duty's highest grossing games in the previous decade, and the sequel is highly anticipated due to the conjunction of Warzone and Call of Duty games. Unfortunately, Modern Warfare 2 is set to take the world stage and only has the opportunity to grow. Unlike EA, Activision will delay a game a year if it's not ready for release, which they did last year instead of releasing an unfinished Modern Warfare 2. However, this is not the end of Battlefield's problems, because after Modern Warfare 2 releases, it will be next to impossible to draw players back to 2042. The following year, Activision will release either Black Ops Remastered or Black Ops 5. The other issue with the Battlefield franchise is that it takes 3.5 to 4 years to develop a game. Therefore, Battlefield games should be designed to pull the audience into playing the game over multiple years, like Battlefield 4. The following theoretical date for releasing a Battlefield game would be September 2025, the same anticipated release date as Modern Warfare Roman numeral 3. If Modern Warfare 2 releases and performs as well as many in the market expect it will, then Battlefield may be destined to fail as a franchise. Modern Warfare games are like a snowball rolling downhill. They will gather more and more size as it gets closer to the end. With the market evolving and developing the way it is, Battlefield 2042 needs to become profitable enough to make another game. If not, then the developers at EA may cancel a franchise, because it will not make them any money. The next Battlefield game will have to be fan-focused, because 2042 obviously does not focus on that right now. This assumes that the market of the first-person shooter games follows the standard path it has for the past 20 years. I could be wrong, and God, I hope I eat my words here in the future. We have to have faith that the new development team at EA will fix Battlefield 2042. Otherwise, we are likely to see massive failures coming down the pipe for the future of Battlefield. But regardless of what happens in the far future, in the next year, Battlefield needs to do 3 essential things. The first is that Battlefield 2042 needs to be revamped and remade into a fan-focused game to pull the player base back. Second, it needs to find a way to make money, not in a typical EA greedy way, but to let the fans have the game they want and the money will follow. Third, the game needs more long-term support, with consistently adding new content. If EA and DICE fix the game and make these 3 essential steps, Battlefield 2042 may be destined for something greater than we see now. I have much hope for the franchise and Battlefield 2042, but it's hard not to be emotional about the state of the game and the future with how badly this game's content has been handled. The future of Battlefield remains clouded with doubt, but which way the pendulum swings will be based on the content revisions of the game. Overall, the game has been disappointing and has not met public expectations. There is much to overcome, but if handled correctly, Battlefield 2042 can be victorious. If not, we can only hope for the next Battlefield game in the franchise to be better. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, stay frosty.